Hey guys, and welcome back to Dan's Pro Shop. If you're returning for I don't know, part 3 of this little build series here for this 2025 Honda crf125f, welcome back. If you're new, welcome, period. Well, up until this point, we have upgraded the stock handlebars to a set of high-rise Pro Taper SEs, and we have even installed an LED headlight light bar on this thing. The focus of today's video is that we're going to continue to upgrade the controls just a little bit more because, you know, friends don't let friends drive stock. So we are going to replace the factory levers with a set of ASVs. Oh, they're fantastic levers. If you've never used them, I couldn't suggest anymore. And just because, for kicks and giggles, while we're in here and to make me feel better, we are going to add a set of extended length cables for both the clutch and the throttle. Since we rose the handlebars, you know, the factory stock cables work, but they get a little more snug than I'm happy with. So you probably could get away with it, but for the little bit of investment, and you just do it and it's done. But yeah, so we're going to get into that, do some levers and cables. Stick around. So right out of the gate, it would probably be a solid idea to show you the components that we're working with here. To start with, we got a set of ASV levers from ASV. Now, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, these levers are absolutely fantastic. I have these on almost all of my bikes. I've used them a lot, and they are just, man, whenever it comes to quality hand controls, ASV has this stuff locked down. So I opted for both the brake and the clutch. Now, this particular clutch uses the factory perch on the bike. I don't know. Since this thing is still so new, I don't know if they have like an applicable perch, even though it is just a regular old 7/8. But, you know, the adjuster on the cable, and I don't know how things are going to fly. But either way, this one fits into the factory perch. And if need be, you know, I can upgrade just the perch later for a little bit more investment. But take a gander here on the brake lever, we now have a ball bearing that presses the master cylinder. So not only is it a better, like, bend both ways, unbreakable, shorty billet aluminum lever, but just the components all around way better. And as far as the cabling goes, these are TP cables from fasterminis.com. So we have the throttle set, which I believe is 3 inches longer, and the clutch cable, which I think is also 3 or 4 inches longer. I don't know, but it's going to be more than enough. Since the factory ones that are on there already fit, this little bit of wiggle room is going to be absolutely perfect. And don't worry, in case you guys are interested in this exact same stuff, I will link all this crap down in the description. Now, for those of you out there thinking like, hey, this dude's just slinging ASV parts because they're paying for this video. No, not even sponsored or endorsed by ASV even a little bit. Even know how freaking awesome that would be for the amount of money I have given this company over the years. But man, when you got a good product, it's worth paying for. Like, this will be the last set of levers you ever put on the bike that you're putting them on. So yeah, I don't know. Done with the spiel. Let's go over and start tearing stuff down. So we might as well start with the clutch side, since this is just where we're at. Go ahead and pull back this boot and then remove the 10 mil hardware that's holding the lever in. So there's a nut on the bottom side. Take that guy out and then unthread the bolt from the top. Don't forget to retain this hardware. Since we're reusing this perch with the new lever, we're going to need this. And just to make lives easier on ourselves, you know, to get this thing out of here, we may have to fight with it just a little bit. Well, at least getting the lever off isn't all that bad. But since we are taking the clutch cable out, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect it down from underneath to make this part way easier. And here we are on the right hand side of the bike at the clutch lever. So all we need to do here is push up on this lever. You can use a set of pliers or something if you need to give you a little bit of help. But we just need to take enough tension off of this cable in order to get the barb out of the connector here. I'm going to throw a set of channel locks on this guy here. And come on now. There we go. Clutch is disconnected. And I know this part here is a bit of a bear to see, but this is the end of the clutch cable that we just need to pull up and out of its perch underneath here. And then we can pretty much just remove the cable down here. All right, there's that. Now moving back upstairs here, the clutch perch, now that the cable's not connected to anything, we got plenty of slack here that we can go ahead and take this adjustment nut off of the perch. Well, I guess technically, we really don't even have to take it off. We just line up the slit here so we can take the cable out. Until those line up with the notch on the perch, I'm going to pull the clutch cable right out of here. Just like so. Now the clutch cable is disconnected on both ends. All we got to do is just fish it out of where it's supposed to go. But pay attention to where it's supposed to go, because the new one is going to have to go back in the exact same location. So don't just yank this thing and then forget about it. Do it a little methodically and actually pay attention to the routing to make sure you do it the same way. Oh, and there you have it. Factory clutch cable. Disengage. Here we are back over at the bench. Just open up this new clutch cable to get a little bit of a perspective here. So all the stuff is exactly the same here, minus the length. And I'd say that's about 3 inches. That's a little bit over 3 inches, maybe 3 1/4. And that is going to be exactly what we need to make this thing run perfect. So now that we've confirmed all that crap, we're going to do this exact same thing in reverse and feed the new clutch cable up through as opposed to the down through for the removal. Now we are where that thing's pretty much supposed to be. We'll re-terminate the bottom half. Yeah, the eagle has landed. Beautiful. And to put this guy up in here, since there is no tension on it yet, slip the cable right through the eyelet on the clutch lever. Oh, come on. There we go. And pull the tension back out the top. There you go. And we're all set down here. And for the top part, do this exact same thing in reverse, except now we have a ton of extra space to work with. So we'll go and line these guys up again. Get the cable through the perch. Seat that in there. Now we can throw a brandy new ASV lever on here. And I don't know about you guys, but there is just something about brand new motorcycle parts. They makes you a kid again. And since we have all the slack adjusted out of this guy, at least enough to do whatever we need to do, this couldn't be any more simple. You slide the ball end of the cable into the end of the lever, twist, and insert. Bam. Reinstall this 10mm screw that came on the factory perch. Snug that guy down. And then the capturing nut on the bottom. Don't quote me, but I think torque on these is like 5 Nm or something. Now you can tell here we're all loosey-goosey and it's not like doing anything. So now you have to be a little patient and, size this thing. Adjust your clutch and clutch lever and clutch cable appropriately. Since there really is no adjustment down on the crankcase, everything is done up here on the cable, either with this adjusting nut in the line or the adjuster up here on the perch. So, yeah, this is kind of a situational thing. I'll go ahead and get this guy dialed in, meet you back here in a minute. Now, the way you're going to want to do this for a cable clutch is pretty well straightforward. Like I mentioned, you have the inline adjuster the perch adjuster, and in this case, we even have a little bit of adjustment on the ASV lever. So let me show you downstairs exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever the clutch is all the way out or engaged, we want to have just a little bit of slack in this cable. So you know for sure that these clutch plates are slammed together all of the way. But this is super important. If you don't have this free play here, that means that your clutch is always kind of partially pulled out, and then you will just absolutely smoke the clutch plates in here. So in order to do this, the easiest way, I suppose, go ahead and put one hand down here on the cable. You can kind of feel the slack in it. Then with the other hand, adjust the line adjuster up here. So right now, I'm pulling the adjuster apart and lengthening the cable, tightening the cable inside of it, if that makes sense. I think that's about dead nuts there. And once you have everything adjusted the way you like, tighten down this jam nut on the inline adjuster with two 10mm wrenches. We'll use this guy here for the gross adjustments, and if you really want to fine tune it, use the perch. This is the easy one to get to. Now, I mentioned that ASV has its own adjustment. Let's take a look at that. With ASV levers, in case you guys are unfamiliar with these and haven't used them before, you see this guy right here? This allows you to adjust the throw of the lever, or basically how far away the lever is from the grip. So this guy right here is a 10mm nut with a 3mm set screw inside of it. That set screw protrudes from the back of the lever here and presses on the part that engages with the perch. So the depth of this screw not only changes the distance of your lever away from the bar, you know, so you can kind of get your rider comfort here, you know, get your hand placement exactly where you want it. And this changes the amount of how much the cable gets pulled through the perch. So you just go ahead, dial this guy in here, put that exactly where you want it, and then crank down this outside nut with a 10mm wrench, and we got a clutch. So yeah, that was super complicated and all about 10 minutes just monkeying around, even including adding a new lever. So now we are going to do that same thing kinda over there. We're going to throw the ASV lever on the brake, which we don't really have to do anything to other than maybe this adjusting nut thing that I just mentioned for the ASV. And then we'll throw these throttle cables on. Now for the brake side lever, first thing we need to do is to remove this boot off of the master cylinder. Try not to destroy it in the process. Now, since we're going to have to tear apart the throttle clamshell to do the extended cables, I'm going to remove the lever and leave it off for now. That'll give us a little more extra room in here to do what we need to do. The brake lever is the exact same thing as the other side. Well, perhaps if you got the right wrench, that'll help a lot. Remove the 10mm nut from the bottom of the perch, and then remove the 10mm bolt from the top. And this will release your lever. Just keep a hand on this thing because the factory lever does have a spring in the perch. The ASV here, I opted to add the little fancy dust cover here for an extra 11 bucks, I think. And it comes with a new perch bolt to allow like the space for the cover here. And I'll take this guy off here and show you. The ASV lever comes with a port to put that spring back in there that we took out from the factory lever. But before we do that, we're going to do the cables, so this thing's out of the way. Now to remove this clamshell, out these two. Holy cow, man, I really tightened this thing. Two number 2 Phillips head screws here. There we have it. Take these all the way out. We're going to have to separate this to get to the cables inside. Pull the boot from on top here. This is the only thing left holding the clamshell together. And then we separate. Now once you've removed the cables from the cam on the throttle tube, make sure you keep this guy. We're going to need that thing. Now we have to take the throttle cable out of the clamshell housing. This is also a 10mm. Release the jam nut. Then we can unscrew it. Do that same thing for this side. Now, don't worry about removing this boot. The new throttle cables have a boot on it. So now that we have this side disconnected, let's go down here to the throttle body. Now, apologies in advance. This is going to be extremely difficult to see, just like the clutch down here, because it's completely concealed. So, take my word for it. There is a plastic cover here with a couple Phillips head screws. Remove this cover, and then the opposite end of the throttle cables, same thing. There's a cam down here. We need to remove them from this side, and then yank the cables just like we did with the clutch. And there is two. Nice. Pull this cover up out of the way. And here is our throttle cam. I'll get you down in there so you can see what's up. I know this is pretty difficult to see, but this is what's underneath that black cover. So you can tell our two throttle cables come in from the top side there, get clamped onto that top bracket, and then we just have focus. There you go. Then we have the two furls or wire end nuts or whatever you want to call them, bayonet, or I don't know. There's a word for these. I don't know. We got to take these guys out of here, and then we can yank the cable. Boy, howdy, is that a chore and a half trying to get that crud out of there? There's one. There's that guy there. And then there's the second one. Pull the slack out. And there's number two. Yank these guys back up through. Oop. Yeah, perfect. And install the new ones. When we're installing the new one, you guys can see here two different cables, but they are two different thread diameters. So you don't have to worry about messing up and putting these in the wrong spot, at least up on the throttle. Whenever it comes to down here, they are the same. You will have to pay attention to which is which. Just make sure that whenever you roll back, it actually twists and opens the throttle. So we'll route these things back down the way that one come out. Do this exact same thing in reverse. So down here, since I know the larger diameter of the two cables goes on the me side, meaning that that is the pull. That's the go side of it. That needs to be on the top down here. So do a little bit of maneuvering here and make sure everything's in the right spot. Put that guy in there where it goes. Wrap the cable down around here. There we go. We're in. Take the slack up out of it. And then you can tighten this one down in the bracket. Maybe. Come on. Man, my fingers are way too big for this. Sorry guys, the camera died on me there for a minute. I got a little bit ahead of you, but not far. So once we have these things attached down here and snugged up, don't worry, we'll go ahead and crank everything a little bit later. Reinstall the clamshell. There's nothing to this. It's the exact same opposite of how you took it out. So there really isn't much to it. Just make sure you take your time, do this correctly, and then we can adjust. Now that all this crap's put together, we can put the screws back in the clamshell up here and then adjust. But really, that's going to be, since this is an EFI thing, this is going to be like a start it up and adjust it. And we're going to have to do that with the clutch anyway to see where the grab point is. So just snug everything down for now, and then we'll get to like the fine-tuning adjustment later. Now, hopefully you guys can see down here, this little stop right here on the throttle plate. Whenever we're at wide open throttle, you want this thing to hit that stop. And the way we do that is by adjusting the cable up at the throttle. So we'll adjust this nut in and out as need be in order to make that thing work properly. Right now I'm winding it out to take the slack out of that cable. And I'm going to go until I get a nice ting and I can hear that thing hit. There we go. I think that's where we need it to be. That's not enough. There we go. That's full bore right there. Sweet. Now that everything has been replaced and buttoned up, I threw that cover back on there, just a couple screws. Now we can install the ASV front brake lever. Now when it comes to installing the ASV brake lever, we have options. So you can install this with the spring that came out of the factory lever, make sure everything goes where it's supposed to. And you can put on the ASV dust cover with the supplied hardware that allows the extra length. However, I am not crazy about the fact that we no longer cover the piston on the master cylinder here. And I think the stock boot is probably going to work a little bit better. So I'm going to install this with the factory hardware here. So the bolt is the correct length. And I'm going to do my best to try to install that factory boot back on here and just see how everything lines up, see if it's going to work. Put that 10 mil bolt in there. 10 mil nut on the bottom. Snug her down. Good. Still plenty of free play there. And we'll try to slap this guy back on here and see how it goes. Boy, howdy, this might actually work. Man, I tell you, it's not perfect, but it's definitely not bad either. I think I'm going to stay with that. Now, everything is put together. All that's left to do is like kind of ride it and adjust things. Now, you want a little bit of free play in your clutch, but not a lot. And then with these ASV levers, you need to figure out how far away you want it and make sure you have things run appropriately and this and that and this and that. And then, well, either way, not a bad project. Couple minutes in and out of here. Let's just say half an hour to do this. Bear in mind, I had the plastics off of this thing already because of other crap that I've been doing to it. So a couple more screws to take the plastics off. Not really a big deal. But yeah, as far as this thing working and being around for the next forever for like the new family pit bike, I think this is going to be awesome. I mean, other than maybe a set of tires that aren't factory, I'd be fine with that. But yeah, this is a pretty solid upgrade between the handlebars, the ODI grips, the LED headlight, and now the ASV levers on both the clutch and the brake. This thing, it's a serious mini moto. So yeah, if you guys are interested in doing this, I mean, clearly this is year, make, model specific for this one. But check out the links down in the description to grab all the crap that we did here today. And I'll even throw some tools down in there just in case you're interested. But yeah, man, moto is a way of life. And if you guys are into this crap, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. And we will see you next time.